What's up, YouTube? SalvoG here. Welcome back to another reaction video. I hope you guys are all having a great day. I'm going to get to a song now that I feel like is a little overdue. See it in the comment section on my videos a little bit. Every now and then, I've had a few people on my Patreon mention it, and today we're going to get into it. American Pie from McLean. All right, I'm unfamiliar with this artist, guys, so we're going to do a small little dive. Folk rock artist seems to be the case here. Folk / rock. You get the idea. 1964, still doing his thing today. That's really cool. Love to see that. American singer-songwriter, guitarist, known to his fans as the American Troubadour or King of the Trail. He is best known for his 1971 hit song, which we're about to listen to, an 8.5-minute folk rock cultural touchstone about the loss of innocence of the early rock and roll generation. So I did not know it was that long. So we're gonna wrap this up pretty quickly here. His other hit singles include Vincent, Dreidel, and Wonderful Baby, as well as his renditions of Roy Orbison's Crying. I would love to hear that actually, and Skyliner's Since I Don't Have You. All right. So how many albums are we working with, Mr. Don here? Quite a few. Tapestry. All right, this comes from the album American Pie, by the way, which is the second studio album. Folk rock again here. Let me know what your favorite album is, or I should say song from this album besides American Pie. And is this his most successful album? That I am unsure of. It did come in at #1 on the Billboard 200. That is probably his best album. I could be wrong. But here is the song here. Folk rock, 8 minutes and 42 seconds. We're going to make sure we have the entire song here. We do. Good to see that. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I would probably read some of this had the song not been so long. But yeah, #1 in Canada, Australia. Pretty popular in Europe as well. All right, so we'll go with the lyric video. Without further ado, here we go.
A long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance that I could make those people dance, and maybe they'd be happy for a while. But February made me shiver with every paper I deliver. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step.
A nice voice.
I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride, but something touched me deep inside the day the music died.
Whoa.
So bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die.
Oh.
Did you write the book of love, and do you have faith in God above? If the Bible tells you so. Now, do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? And can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him, 'cause I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes.
Ooh.
Man, I dig those rhythm and blues. I was a lonely teenage bronc and buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck, but I knew I was out of luck the day the music died. I started singing bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were day that I die. This'll be the day that I die.
All right.
Now for 10 years we've been on our own, and moss grows fat on a rolling stone. But that's not how it used to be. When the jester sang for the king and queen in a coat he borrowed from James Dean, and a voice that came from you and me. Oh, and while the king was looking down, the jester stole his thorny crown. The courtroom was adjourned. No verdict was returned. And while Lenin read a book on Marx, the quartet practiced in the park, and we sang dirges in the dark. The day the music died, we were singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, and singing this'll be the day that I die.
Wow. All
This'll
right.
be the day that I die. Helter skelter in the summer swelter, the birds flew off with a fallout shelter. 8 miles high and falling fast. It landed foul on the grass. The players tried for a forward pass, with the jester on the sidelines in a cast. Now the halftime air was sweet perfume, while the sergeants played a marching tune. We all got up to dance, oh, but we never got the chance, 'cause the players tried to take the field. The marching band refused to yield. Do you recall what was revealed the day the music died? We started singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, and singing this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Oh, and there we were all in one place, a generation lost in space, with no time left to start again. So come on, Jack, be nimble, Jack, be quick. Jack Flash sat on a candlestick, 'cause fire is the devil's only friend. Oh, and as I watched him on the stage, my hands were clenched in fists of rage. No angel born in hell could break that Satan's spell. And as the flames climbed high into the night to light the sacrificial rite, I saw Satan laughing with delight the day the music died. He was singing bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, and singing this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die.
Whoa.
I met a girl who sang the blues, and I asked her for some happy news, but she just smiled and turned away. I went down to the sacred store where I'd heard the music years before, but the man there said the music wouldn't play.
Oh.
And in the streets the children screamed, the lovers cried and the poets dreamed, but not a word was spoken. The church bells all were broken, and the 3 men I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, they caught the last train for the coast the day the music died. and they were singing,
One more time.
bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. They were singing, bye bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die.
Wow. You know when you can tell you just listen to something of like historical significance? That's kind of how I feel after that. Wow. Yeah, that is a... I felt like somebody read me a bedtime story. That was crazy. All right. Let's now that the song is over and we've heard it, and you know, most people might check out, that's okay. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'd like to read a little bit more about the song now and see kind of what spurred the song and get into the mind a little bit more of the artist as to why they wrote it, how it became about, stuff like that. All right. Single was the #1 US hit for 4 weeks in 1972, starting January. How long? 4 weeks. Okay. Thought it might be a little bit longer. Starting January 15th, after just 8 weeks on the US Billboard charts, where it entered at number 69. The song also topped the charts in Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, which we saw before the video started. In the UK, the single reached number 2, where it stayed for 3 weeks on its original 1971 release, and a reissue in 1991 reached number 12. The song was listed as the number 5 song on the RIAA Project Songs of the Century. Madonna, #1 in at least 15 countries. Wow. At 8 minutes and 42 seconds, this song, the combined version, is the 6th longest song to enter the Hot 100. At the time of its release, it was the longest. That's really, really neat. The song also held the record for almost 50 years for being the longest song to reach #1 before Taylor Swift's All Too Well, the 10-minute version, broke that record in 2021. American Pie has been described as one of the most successful and debated songs of the 20th century. The repeated phrase, "the day the music died," refers to a plane crash in 1959 that killed early rock and roll stars Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valens, ending the era of early rock and roll. This became the popular nickname for that crash. The theme of the song goes beyond mourning Don's musical childhood heroes, reflecting the deep cultural changes and profound delusions and loss of innocence of his generation, the early rock and roll generation that took place between the 59 plane crash and either late 69 or late 70. The meaning of the other lyrics, which cryptically allude to many of the jarring events and social changes experienced during that period, has been debated for decades. Don repeatedly declined to explain the symbolism behind the many characters and events mentioned. He eventually released his songwriting notes to the accompany of the original manuscript when it was sold to accompany the original manuscript when it was sold in 2015, explaining many of these, and further elaborated on the lyrical meaning in a 2022 interview/documentary celebrating the song's 50th anniversary, in which he stated the song was driven by Impressionism and debunked some of the more widely speculated symbols. I would like to read those notes. That'd be cool. In 2017, it was selected for preservation in the National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or artistically significant. And that's kind of the feeling that I was getting after hearing it. Normally, not all the time, but I can kind of tell when I'm going to read this sentence. I've heard enough like significant songs that leave an impression after you hear them that you just know something was special. And after you hear it recommended a bunch of times, you kind of get the idea of how significant the song is. So if anybody wants to link me those notes down below, I don't have time for this video. I would love to read those on my own. When asked what American Pie meant, Don jokingly replied, "It means I don't ever have to work again if I don't want to." Later, he stated, "You will find many interpretations of my lyrics, but none of them by me. Sorry to leave you all on your own like this, but long ago I realized that songwriters should make their statements and move on, maintaining a dignified silence." He also commented on the popularity of his music. "I didn't write songs that were just catchy, but with a point of view, or songs about the environment." Okay. I kind of like that idea. You know, the music might not take on the same sort of embodiment if like everybody knew exactly what it was about after the artist mentions exactly what they were trying to say. It kind of takes away the magic of the song a little bit, I feel. Not all the time. It depends on what the song is about to begin with. Like if it's something really straightforward, obviously you don't have to like think about it too hard. But when it's something like this, you know, I think it could be good to leave it up to the listener. So anyways, it's an amazing song. I know he didn't say he didn't write songs just to be catchy, but it is rather catchy. And it does feel like a story. Like he just told me an entire story of the history of that time period, and just like lots of symbolism. And obviously I need more than one listen for this, but painting lots of pictures in my head, and definitely something that you have to listen a few times to get a more accurate interpretation of the song. One listen definitely isn't enough. It's enough for a reaction, but not enough to get a full understanding, or at least to begin to understand, to make an assumption of the song itself. So we'll leave it at that for now. I'll probably revisit this song maybe in a few months, perhaps. Maybe we'll do another reaction / review when we hear it again in a different light, after maybe learning about it a little more or thinking about it. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe down below. Other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.